We were parked outside your apartment at the end of our second date. The rain was coming sideways and the radio played sweet and late. You said I should probably go inside before my parents call, but neither of us moved an inch to leave the car at all. You started talking softer than I'd ever heard you speak, about the things you carried that you'd never made me seek, the dream you had of being something more than was allowed, the fear you held so tightly that you wouldn't say out loud. The rain was making music on the windshield overhead, and the dashboard lights were warming up the things you'd never said. And every minute that we sat there, I was falling deeper in to the kind of love that doesn't ask permission to begin. Rain on the windshield and we talked till 4 a.m. Rain on the windshield and the world stood still again. Just the two of us inside that little space outside your door. Rain on the windshield and a love I'd never known before, a love I'd never known before. You told me about your father and the way he'd left at 6. You told me how your mother held it all together with sticks. You told me how you taught yourself to read inside a hospital, sitting with your sister while she fought what wasn't logical. And I told you things I buried deep inside for years on end, the brother who I lost and never knew quite how to mend, the way I built a wall around my heart that nobody could climb, until you sat across from me and made me lose my time. The dawn began to lighten up the rainy sky outside, and neither of us wanted what we'd made a set or hide. But you said I have to go to work in just a couple hours, and I said I know, but neither of us had powers to leave. Rain on the windshield and we talked till 4 a.m. Rain on the windshield and the world stood still again. Just the two of us inside that little space outside your door. Rain on the windshield and a love I'd never known before, a love I'd never known before. Some couples have a first kiss, some couples have a first dance, some couples have a moment that they call their first romance. But ours was just a parked car with the windshield full of rain, and 4 hours of talking that has never come again. We've talked for thousands of hours since that night so long ago. We've raised 3 kids and traveled, and we've watched our own love grow. But every time I drive at night and the rain begins to fall, I'm parked outside your apartment, hearing every word you call. Last week we were driving home from somewhere on a stormy night. You looked at me across the seat and the dashboard cast its light. You said, do you remember when we sat like this for hours? And I just nodded and we held each other's hand with all our powers. And someday when our kids are old enough to fall in love, I'll tell them about the rainy night and what was made above. I'll tell them, find the one you can be quiet with at 4, inside a parked car in the rain. That's what love is for. Rain on the windshield, and the world has changed since then. Rain on the windshield, but the moment lives again. Every storm we share reminds me of that night outside your door. Rain on the windshield, and the love forevermore. A love forevermore. Rain on the windshield. Rain on the windshield. Two strangers talking deeply in a parked car's gentle wheel. Rain on the windshield, my love. The rain on the windshield was the first night we became the love that would not be repealed.